Kara, there are many more CAs than CMAs. So if we're already outnumbered 2 to 1, how would we as CMAs have a voice in this new partnership?
That's a good question. The voice in the partnership right now, with every working committee moving forward, we have equal representation. So there is equal amounts of CAs and CMAs around the table. From a transitional board perspective, and this is another thing that they're hammering out with a governance perspective, is proportional representation. Right? And so the biggest thing is when we're starting to put together what the plan will look like is to have equal representation on everything on that front end to make sure that we're covered. However, you know, we would have to look at what our transitional boards might look like, what our permanent boards might look like. But by the time we get to a permanent board, we're all CPA anyways. So, you know, it's a CPA, it's not us and them. And that's one of those viewpoints that we need to have a little bit of a leap of faith in, and that we're going at this for the best of both professions. I don't think there's anyone who's stating that we're not. It's really about making sure on that front end with those working groups that the principles that we both agree to are things that we both uphold within our organizations. You're welcome.
Kara, what are you telling students who are interested in accounting? What should their path be?
Their path should be exactly what their path is right now, because one, there's no member vote, so we don't even know if this is going to move forward. So for them to make decisions based on a merger, that's the wrong decision anyways. So we tell them, if you are still planning to go the CA route, stay in the CA route. If you're still planning to go in the CMA route, stay in the CMA route. What we have committed to is that there will be no student left behind, if you will. Right? So if we come together with a new program, we will make sure that there is bridging, there is transition in place so that nobody gets left behind as we work this out. Okay. But we are telling them that they should still be going into the program that they're choosing, not based on a merger situation.
Thank you.
So if this happens and we're 10 years down the road, what happens to the designations in the meantime?
Well, the designations in the meantime don't change, right? Like we say, we're not asking any member to give anything up. We're not giving anything additional to any member. So there aren't going to be any additional courses that someone's going to have to take to be a CPA. Now, mind you, in 10 years, if you decided you're going to drop the designation and you're going to go into audit, but you've never done audit in your life, well, that's not going to be allowed. You would have to take bridging. You'd have to take those courses the same way that you have to take them now. Right? So a CMA comes out of the program, if they want to go and audit insurance, they've got to go and do another path, right? Post-certification. So, you know, we all have to live by the same IFAC standard for CPLD. We all have continuous professional learning and development in all of our designations that we have to have. There's so much similar within the memberships post-designation that there would be very little change in what the membership is experiencing now. If any change, it would be positive because there would be more streamlined activities, better professional development, more ability for postgraduate learning, right? Things that we can do as a united front that we can't do now.
Here, I'm concerned about the name CPA. Will there be confusion with CPAs in other countries? And how about Canadian accountants who want to work in the U.S.? What happens to them?
Well, the Canadian accountants that want to work in the U.S., we'll tackle that first. All of our MRAs are going to remain our MRAs, mutual recognition agreements, right? So CAs, under the new regime, would not be able to have access to our MRA with CIMA, for example, because an MRA is, I've mapped my program against your program, they're pretty similar, right? The same way is CMAs would not be able to take advantage of MRAs that CAs have, like with the states. Now, with the states, with the mutual recognition agreements, it becomes a little bit more complicated because they're state legislated, so they change depending on which state you're going into, what the MRA might look like. So in building the new program, the new core program, we would keep all of those MRAs in place and go through each one of them to make sure that that core program is addressing all of the MRAs. Once the core program's in place, then those MRAs will be for all CPAs, new CPAs. What would end up happening for our existing, in a new MRA situation, is we would have to look at where did your training come from, right? So the CPA brand itself, regardless of if it's certified public accountant or chartered professional accountant, by no means is CPA not known as a global brand, regardless. It's globally recognized as a brand, the designation CPA. So we actually think that that will decrease global confusion as opposed to increase it, which we have right now with 3 separate designations.
Kara, what about the agreements we now have with other countries in terms of recognizing qualifications and allowing our members to work there? And will the new recognition agreements have to be created?
As we move forward and we look at the mutual recognition agreements, if we have changes in our program, of course, we have to go back and address what the MRA is, right? And that'll be the same for the CAs as the CMAs. So we know that we're going to have to build that in. But with that being on our radar, what we're saying is we're going to make every effort to make sure that the combined program addresses all of the MRAs so that we can make that available and then have bridging for our members who weren't part of the new program, if you will, to bring them up to the mutual recognition agreement level.
Kara, so how has the government reacted to this news?
It depends on the province that you're in. So Quebec is the province that we're watching right now, and they are the province to watch because they have been invited by the Ordre des Professionnels to come together and put together a proposal for a 3-way merger. And they're looking at a 3-way merger, and they have government support for it. We've met with our government officials, and they are very supportive in us working together. Because we all fall under RAPA and we're following the same legislation, it's easier to open up the legislation. However, I mean, it'd be easier if we had the CGAs in the room as well, right, from an Albertan perspective.
So what about industry and employers? What are they saying about this potential change?
Industry and employers have been extremely supportive, especially anyone who runs a management program. So when we talk to people who are hiring for management programs, the idea of just hiring someone in a CPA and allowing them to go through and find what their specialty might be is very attractive for them. We've talked to a lot of recruiters. Our recruiters are saying, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's so much easier for us to explain one path as opposed to 3 to employers. And especially when the 3 will say, well, I just want to hire a CMA. And when they ask you why, they go, I don't know. All right, so we're really, the support from industry is that it's been a long time coming. The support from recruiters it's been a long time coming. Even the post-secondary. Even within the post-secondary institutions, they're saying, yeah, this is a long time coming. It's difficult to explain the different paths to students. It's difficult to deal with the organizations, right, on those levels. So everything that we're hearing from industry is very positive. Okay? Well, thank you very much. And for any additional information, we encourage everyone to go to the CPA website, get involved in the discussions, get involved with the dialogue. You'll see updates from Joy Thomas and Kevin Dancy on a regular basis. And we will be coming back out for town halls in September, October timeframe. So in that timeframe, we would encourage anyone who can make those town halls to come out and really start that conversation and make sure that we've got all of the viewpoints of our membership on the table before we make a decision on where we'll proceed for the profession. Okay, thank you.